hold it?
Isn't that cool? Show me. So cute.
I bet the bees
So I'm back in my holding yard where I dropped these colonies the other night. I know I will get questions on running these deep boxes when I normally run all mediums. I've run deeps and mediums, I've run double deeps, I've run all mediums. I prefer all mediums, but I'm gonna run these as a deep and a medium. These hives are bursting. They need space now. So that's what we're doing. That would be one of the smaller ones that I got. I got rained on all last night and it's overcast today, so bees aren't real happy. All I'm doing with them today is giving them a medium with 8 drawn combs and a frame feeder. That'll hold a gallon. And some of them are heavier than others, so I'm gonna feed everybody. So I really didn't want to put a medium on them until after I got them moved into their permanent locations, but I'm running a little behind. I've got some coal colonies that I've got to move out of my drone flooding yards into out yards, and these bees need boxes today, so I am getting them boxes today, and then over the weekend I'll probably get those coals moved out and then start filling in, 4, 5, 6 at a time, and I think that'll work pretty well. I've got a hive lifter, so even if they put on some weight and I've got a deep and a medium, that's no trouble to move. So I'll move them a dozen at a time or something. I want to get one yard set up too, a new yard. So I got to move some block in there and talk to the landowner about exactly where he wants it to be and stuff like that. So I figure this will buy me a week or two to get all that sorted out. There's beautiful colonies here. These are pretty heavy Caucasian carniolan. There's some that have a little more yellow in them. Beautiful looking bees. So the way Bob had these set up, they had fondant on them, and he had a double frame feeder in here. So when we were getting these ready, we pulled the feeder out, added 2 drawn combs. Some of these hives are big enough to cover all of those combs already. Some of them are a little bit smaller, which I'm fine with. They all seem to be relatively gentle, even though this is not a gentle bee kind of day. I'm happy. I've got some girth to work with now. It should be more realistic to meet my colony goals this year. It's just more realistic. I wasn't really planning on doing this. I want these bees to settle in a little bit. It's hard to film and pull frames. If that is what is in here on a small one, I'd say I'm going to be very pleased. That next frame's better. This one's got emerging brood in it. Awesome. So I just got done with the new bees. and looked at my existing colonies in there. I've got some small ones that need a lot of growing, and then I've got some big ones that I'm gonna have to start pulling back. I finished reversing my boxes about 2 weeks ago, and we are 7 to 8 weeks away from the honey flow right now. So I think over the next week I need to get through all of my big ones and push the brood down to the bottom. I'm not seeing drones yet, so I think it's early to graft. I was thinking about grafting, the 10th to the 15th. I think 15th or 20th is probably where I need to be. So I've got to slow them down just a little bit before I can start splitting into them, or splitting out of them. Everything's progressing though. Tasted some nectar they're bringing in today. I don't know exactly what it is. It's pretty good. It's not, I don't think it's maple. I've tasted maple. It's not, I don't care for it. But whatever this was pretty good. I washed my truck 3 days ago. A little muddy in Tennessee this time of year. All right, so on to hive work. My little Nucs look like this now. 2 boxes, maybe 6 frames, 7 frames in the bottom, and 8 in the top. And they'll probably have 4 frames of brood in the bottom and 5 or 6 in the top. So I'll move as much brood to the bottom as I can. I'll get about 8 frames of brood in the bottom and move some open comb into this middle box, feed them, and put on a third of drawn comb. And that should satisfy them for a couple weeks at least, hopefully. All right, so I left 8 frames of brood in the bottom. Queen was on that frame right there. I just saw her. She went down somewhere. And I am leaving. There she is. She's doing a tremendous job. I'm leaving 2 frames of brood in the top. So this hive is going to explode. Absolutely explode in the next 2 weeks. Boy, there's a lot of flight in this yard. Stepped out of the truck and it's just nothing but humming. These singles that I got looks like they're bringing in some hen bit. Let's find some in the sun. There's some hen bit pollen. Need to peek in a few of these, see what they're up to. So when you pick up 32 colonies from somewhere, you're gonna have some that are bigger than others. And this one is smaller. They weren't up in this top box at all. And they're covering 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 frames. I'm just gonna peek in here real quick and make sure that they are brood right, queen right, and then close them up. They've got some growing to do. So in this one, the queen has already moved up and has got 2 frames of eggs laid. So she's moved up sometime in the last 4 or 5 days, probably. I don't see any larvae, but there probably are some. I'd love to find the queen in 1 or 2 of these, just to see what she looks like. But they're hiding from me. They're probably dark queens. Those Italian queens are a lot easier to spot. All right, enough of that. I've looked through, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these new colonies and found eggs in the top in 2 or 3 of them. Some of them are smaller. They haven't moved up yet. None of them need anything from me right now. They've all got some feed left out of that gallon I gave them. That's been a week ago, or almost a week ago. It's been like 6 days. So I'm not worried about any of them starving. I'm not worried about any of them being too big for their boxes. They just need to grow. I need to get them moved out to their yards in the next few days. I've got to set up a new yard. I talked with the gentleman that owns the land yesterday. He's 92, and he knows he knew my great grandfather, which is kind of cool. He was telling me about a time that my great grandfather brought a Jersey cow over and sold it to his mom. His mom milked Jersey cows, and he said that his daddy was a bootlegger, and my great grandfather left with a jug of whiskey. So I guess they gave him some money for the cow, and he got some of it back for the moonshine. Neat hearing stuff like that, stories from 80, 85 years ago. There's not many people left that can share those kind of things. Anyway, I got my yard's location dialed in with him, so I'll try to get over there in the next day or two and get some weed barrier put down and some block, and we'll move 12 of these colonies out there, and then move 12 of them into my drone flooding yards, and that'll be that on these. Just let them grow. Now I've got to look through some of these other colonies, especially these down through here. Some of them are going to start getting too big. They may need boxes. They may need brood pushed to the bottom or something. So I'm going to tip some boxes, and if they've just got drone brood, that's fine. But if they're starting to put in queen cups, I try to get something done at that point, because they're starting to feel the impulse to swarm at that point when they start putting in a lot of queen cups. So I'll push the brood to the bottom, and if they've got too many brood frames, I'll pull some out and boost some small colonies. Just stuff like that. Here's one of Bob's queens. They've already got her marked for me. That's handy. This is a much bigger one. They have taken an entire gallon of syrup and have got that in this comb up here in the top box. They're repairing all of the damaged comb, drawing out this drone comb frame, and I mean, they are filling this top box just about. So that's a big one. So here I've got a hive that was mine from last year. I've got a yellow dot queen in here, 2-year-old queen, and she is just not doing a good job. So they're about 1.5 frames of bees. They've not grown at all since roughly the 3rd week in February. And I don't think they're worth investing time or resources in. I've got this nuke right over here, or that new hive that's really big. I think they can handle another box, so I'm gonna do something that people don't like to see. I'll take Miss Queen. We've just dequeened that hive, and we're gonna merge them with this one over here, give them those resources. So this is one of the 2 small nukes that I talked about in a previous video on the colony growth chart, how that small colony was probably on track at 10 weeks out from the nectar flow to make a honey crop, and to peak at about the right time, maybe just a little bit after the flow. And it's been, I don't know, a couple weeks, and they've gone from 2 or 2.5, maybe 3 medium frames of bees to 4 or 5 medium frames of bees. They're drawing comb here. They finished up all of their fondant. I'm just gonna stack a box on them and not have to look at them for a while. I really do like these little nukes in spring. You can use them to requeen underperformers. They're on track to make a honey crop, peaking at the right time without me doing anything to them but adding boxes of drawn comb. So it's really low labor investment for me, and I'm a one-man show, so that's a big deal. But it also gives me a place if some of these others are growing too fast and I'm not ready to split them. It gives me a place to pull some brood frames out and drop them in this hive. Now at that point, this hive would be moving too fast, and I would have to split them before the honey flow instead of just doing nothing and letting them peak at the right time. but it can buy me, 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something. And I'm getting into that kind of point, like, hurry up and wait. I'm not seeing the drones that I want to see to start grafting. I thought I was going to start grafting this week, but that's very temperature and weather dependent. I'm not seeing the drones, so I'm going to wait at least a week. And that means that some of my big hives may start getting too big before I can get them split. And these act as a brood sink, place to put that excess brood and keep my operation under control. All right, so the experienced beekeepers will catch this pretty quick. Those without too much experience, I'm going to try to explain this. So I've got a triple medium hive here. That's the bottom box, that's the middle box, that's the top box. In late February, let's see, on February 21st, I came through and I reversed these boxes. So the bottom box I took off, dropped the 2 top ones down, and put the bottom box on top because the bottom box was drawing comb and just completely empty. And that put all of the brood in the bottom 2 boxes. Well, now the queen has moved up, and I've got 4 or 5 frames of brood in there. And I look in this bottom box, and she's got 7 or 8 frames of brood in the middle box. And what you could do is go frame by frame and fill this bottom box up with brood and put open comb on top of it, and that will slow them down some. It will reduce the swarming impulse for a time, maybe a few days, maybe a week, until I can start queen rearing and get some splits going. And then I can relieve some of this excess brood from these hives. But I looked through each of these boxes, and it's cloudy today. We got rain coming in, so the bees are not real happy. Come on, calm down. So I looked at the bottom, and you can see there are some cells that still have not opened. So when I move the brood down, there are still a few cells that have not opened, but the rest of this is open comb. So I'm just going to reverse this box again. I'm going to put the middle down on the bottom, put this box of empty comb at the very top, give them some feed, and come back in a week and see what needs to be done to them then. This is one of the reasons I really do like triple medium management. If I can manipulate boxes and not individual frames, yeah, I've got 30 frames in here instead of 20 in a double deep, but if all I got to do is move 10 at a time, that makes it pretty easy. So I like this. Here's another little tip for you guys. My smoker started running too hot. If you take some green grass and throw in there, that'll cool it down. If you blow smoke on your hand, you don't want it to be uncomfortable. You want it to be cool. So some green grass, that'll cool that smoker down some. This hive, I believe, has turned into a dud. They've been small, they're not growing. So I dove in. I don't know if you can see this or not. Try to get it in the light. We've got eggs. Larvae of all sizes all mixed together. We've got multiple eggs in cells. We got eggs laid on the sides of cells. And then here you can see they're building those out. So those are going to be drones. This is a laying worker colony. So we're gonna merge them with some other colonies that need boxes, need space. Big strong colonies like this one over here, giving them another box, not gonna hurt them a bit. That may slow them down just a touch. Put the brood on the bottom, put them into 4, and that will tell me that they need to be split.